It's here, the biggest update to the Insta360 studio pretty much since it was born. Pretty much every common question that you guys comment in the comment section below asking if you can do this, do that, has been added, apart from some, making it the best but also a slightly annoying update at the same time. But you know what? It is good. It is very, very good. So good that I think it deserves some fireworks. Right. Shall we get into it? Okay, so first things first. If you've got the old Insta360 studio like I did, and you go to press update, like check for new updates, and it says, yep, one's available, and then it downloads it and installs it, chances are it's not going to download the actual new 2024 studio, because for me, it didn't work. I had to go to the Insta360 website and directly download the new studio from there. So I would just not mess around and go straight to the website, because for some reason it doesn't update the studio to the new studio when you do it through the old studio, if that makes sense. So just go direct to the Insta360 website and download the new 2024 studio, which is what we're going to go through today from there. Cool. So this is the beautiful new studio. And right now it pretty much looks the same as the old studio, apart from a couple of things here and there. The main thing we're going to focus on today is obviously the new stuff, because you can do all of the old stuff directly in the studio as well as the new stuff. And I guess what they were trying to do with this new update is just streamline the whole workflow process, because before you would edit a 360 video, you would have to export it and then import it into your normal editing software like Premiere Pro and whatever, and it just slowed things down because you were just doing things like twice. But now they've made it so the studio is essentially, you're able to edit inside the studio, and you're able to add things like music, transitions, text, and you've got your own timeline at the bottom where you can combine clips. I think one of the most common questions in the comment section below that I got on my previous Insta360 studio tutorial was, how can I combine several edited, reframed clips together? And you just couldn't. I kept having to say, right, sorry, you're going to have to export it because there's just no way to edit them together. And I also said, hopefully in a future update, they will make this possible. And guess what? They did. So let's start by importing some files, because there's a couple of things that's changed on the main page, which is what we're on at the moment, which, as you can see at the top, you've got two tabs. You've got media and you've got project. So the media tab at the moment is pretty much what you will be used to seeing if you're coming from the old studio before. So let's locate some files. Let's just import all of these 360 files. Same way you would have done before. There we go. So I've got about 5 360 files here. Now, everything looks pretty much the same. So right now I've got the top clip selected. Let's say we want to add a keyframe here. Let's change this round here, and then we go to add keyframe. You can see when you go to add a keyframe, you've got quite a few more options of field of views that you didn't have before. So before you kind of just were stuck with these 4, but now you've got the option to choose ultra wide, wide, linear, linear plus, narrow, etc. So a couple of additions to the field of view things there as well. Everything you could do before on the side on these tabs you can do as well. Again, a couple of things have been added, like the stitching. There's a couple of the dive cases that have been added versus before. So yeah, everything that was there is here now. So what we're going to do is not going to go through every single button on this side of things. I do have a full tutorial on the old studio which pretty much covers all of this, because nothing really has majorly changed in terms of all the buttons and what they do and stuff like that. What has changed is this tab up here, which is your project tab. So let's go into the project tab, and it takes you to this, which essentially is your new editing suite. So at the moment, you can see on the left side, you've got this panel, which essentially is your elements panel. In the middle, you've got your preview window, and to the right, you've got your adjustments and your details panel. And then at the bottom, you've got your timeline, where you can edit everything together. So let's start from the top left in the Elements panel, and you can see along the side you've got 3 tabs: Project Media, General Media, and Temporary Media. So essentially they kind of work the same but slightly different. So let's actually start from the top. Project Media is going to be exclusive to the project you're working on. So you can have several projects open at once to work from. So at the moment, you can see we're on Untitled 2 as the project. If I was to go down to the drop down menu, you can see, and we go to recent projects, I've got Untitled 1 as well. So the project media, everything you import in the project media is only for the project you're currently on. So at the moment, we're in Untitled 2. So if I import those 5 clips to this project media section here, and I go into Untitled 1 project, those clips won't appear there. Underneath, you've got General Media. If you wanted everything you import to this project to be imported in another project as well, so whenever you open another project, let's say we did open Untitled 1, then you would see all of the media there as well because it's under your General Media. And then the last one is your Temporary Media. So this is just exclusive to what you have imported in the Media tab over here. So all these 5 files that I've got here that we imported just now, you can see that they're appearing here because they're in the Media tab, whereas General Media and Project Media have nothing because we haven't imported anything into them yet. So 3 different importing sections that work the same but slightly different and are linked to other projects if you want them to. So Project Media, let's import those 5 files. If we import obviously all of the files that come with that, there they are there. So now they're imported in the Project Media. If I was to go to another project, so let's actually create a new project, Untitled 3. You can see now that we don't have those 5 clips in the Project Media, but they are in Temporary Media. So if we go back to Untitled 2, where we were, and then we go to General Media and we import the same clips into this section, there they are. Those 5 appear there. And now when we go to Untitled 3 and go to General Media, you'll see all 5 of those clips appear there as well because we're telling it whatever project we open and start, we want all of that media imported in there. So let's go back to Untitled 2 because that's what we're going to be working on now. So we've imported our clips, which by the way, these are clips shot with the X3, so they are 360 videos, but you can import videos that are not 360 videos and even import videos that aren't actually shot with an Insta360 camera. So like, let's say you had some clips from the Pocket 3, you would be able to import those clips into here as well and then send them down to the timeline and do some editing. So that's kind of your importing bit. At the top, you've got your music, you've got your text and transitions. So music, they've got a whole library full of full of music for you to choose from. And you can just literally hover over and literally just press play and listen to a preview of the track. Some of them are quite long, like 2-3 minutes. And if you like what you hear, you can favorite it and then it saves it into your favorites tab under there. If you see a little arrow, it means that there's more underneath it. So if we press the arrow, you can see that you have got the music split up into categories as well, which is pretty cool. But if you do see a music track that you like, you'll see there's a download button to the right of it. You need to download it first before you'll be able to send it to the timeline. So now you see that's changed to a plus. You can add it to the timeline, but at the moment we wouldn't be able to just drag this down or send it down until you download it. And next up, you've got your text. So again, there is a lot of presets categorized underneath. If you don't see this bit here, you'll see that it'll be closed like that, but there's an arrow there, so click on it and you've got all of that underneath it. And what I was saying at the beginning with some things being slightly annoying, it's the fact that these are great. This is a great feature to have. Obviously, we didn't have this before, but if you add the text to timeline, which don't worry, we will be doing in a minute, the animation for some of it kind of does the intro, like it animates at the intro, but it doesn't animate in the outro, and you can't actually adjust the colors of these texts. So what you see here is what you're stuck with, which is pretty much yellow, which I understand is Insta360's color, or white. If you did want to change the color, you can. If you go to basic, you can send your own default text down, which you'll be able to then change the color as well. But in the presets, you can't actually adjust the color. You can adjust the sizing. We're going to go through all of it when we start sending stuff to the timeline in a minute. And then you've got transitions. Again, this is an amazing feature to have, because again, it wasn't there before, and yeah, it just adds different elements to your final video result, making it a little bit more interesting than it just kind of cutting from clip to clip. And you've got loads to choose from. I think there's about 30 of them for you to choose from. And again, you can favorite any you like, so they will be saved under your favorites tab. As well, so you don't have to kind of keep going through and finding them every time you kind of go through it. The other thing that I just want to add, going back to music, which I forgot to mention, is you can import your own music. It doesn't have to be music from this library. And the way to do it is just go to media, and then again, on any of these tabs, project, general, it depends whether you want that audio file included in your other projects that you open. If you don't, and you just want exclusively to the project you're on, then just go to import and then locate the audio. So I've got an audio clip here. Just open that and you can see it appears there. So you can import your own audio files, or you could literally, if you had the folder open like this, you could just drag them in as well. You don't need to go through the whole process, but you can see it's recognized that that's a duplicate file. But yeah, that's how you import your own audio files to the project. If you wanted that audio file imported into every project, like I said, you would import it in general media and not project media. Then over in the middle, you've got your preview window, which pretty much works the same as most preview windows and in the previous preview window. At the bottom, you've got the option to change the ratio. So if you wanted to do some social media stuff, yeah, you can change it there as well. And then obviously play down there. So let's actually get a clip selected, and you can see just playing, or well, fast forwarding it to the end. There you go. And you can see obviously the timestamps at the bottom there. You can make it full screen if you want, and you can also, if you like what you see, take a snapshot of what you currently see in the preview window, choose what it's called, where you want it to be saved to, the resolution, and then you've got a snapshot of whatever's on the preview window. Then we're going to go over to this section here, which at the moment is the details panel, but also doubles up as the adjustments panel, which you'll see when we start to send things down to the timeline. So at the moment, it's just telling you all the basic stuff, the file name, the path, the resolution, etc. Because we've got a clip selected. So obviously that would change based on what you have selected. You can even expand all of the details out if you want to. And then obviously at the bottom, you've got where all the magic happens, the timeline. So you know what? Let's send something to the timeline. So let's send this first clip down here. So now you can see you've got 3 layers that have appeared. At the top, you've got your text layer. In the middle, you've got your video layer. And at the bottom, you've got your audio layer. And then at the top left, you've got an undo button, you've got redo, you've got the option to split, and everything has a shortcut, so it might be worth learning the shortcuts as well, because that will speed up your editing process even more. So you can split a clip. So for example, if we did that there, this one clip now becomes 2 clips. And then if I undo that, it's back to 1 clip. You can then trim the beginning. So everything that is to the left of the playhead. So if I press that now, you'll see everything to the left gets deleted. If we undo that, and then we bring the playhead back there. And then the next one does the same thing, but trims everything to the right of the playhead. So if we press that now, you can see everything to the right gets deleted. Next up, you've got delete, which obviously deletes the current selected the current selected item on the timeline. Next that you've got a speed option, which is a new option, so you can actually add custom speed. I don't know what that was. Add a custom speed if you want. So you can actually bring up the speed editor. You can see at the top at the moment it's just 1 times, and then you can make any adjustments you want there as well. So if we hide that, there takes us back to that. And then you've got the magic button, which is your keyframe button. So you can do reframing like you could do in the old tab in the media tab up here, where you would get your mouse on the screen and reframe everything around. You can do all of that now by getting your mouse and moving it around on the preview screen. Oh, there I am there. And then obviously whatever adjustments you make, like you previously would on the media tab, you would have to add a keyframe for it to lock that new position in place. The good thing is if you did want to do some editing in the media tab, so let's, for example, what clip are we on this one? So let's delete this keyframe. Right, so this is the same clip that I've got on the timeline here, which is the first clip. If you was to start making adjustments to this clip by adding, like, let's say keyframes, let's add 2 keyframes just randomly like this. If you go back to the project tab, the keyframes that you've added in the media tab do sync over to this. So it's like adds it to it. But what I've found is it doesn't add it to it when it's on the timeline. What you have to do is actually delete the clip off of the timeline. And then if we send the clip back down to the timeline, you can see that those 2 keyframes that I've just added are now, like, they've now appeared. It's synced together with the previous tab. So it doesn't do it instantaneously whilst it's on the timeline. You actually have to delete it off the timeline and send it back to the timeline for any of the keyframes to be added that you've made in the media tab. But you can't do it in reverse. So if we was to add a keyframe to this clip here, so let's add 2 more to the end, making it that there's 4 keyframes. If I go back to the media tab now and I select another clip from the timeline that hasn't got any keyframes on, and we double select that, you can see that those 2 additional keyframes that we've added in the project tab have not appeared here like it did when we did it in reverse. So just one thing to note, any adjustments you do in the project doesn't go to the media tab, but if you do it in the media tab, it does go to the project tab. But I think for the most part, you will probably want to stay in the project tab, which is this new editing suite. Editing editing area. This is where you're probably going to want to spend most of your time. So you probably won't want to keep going back and forth as well. So now we've got this clip on the timeline. You can see that you've got, when you hover over this line, this is giving you the option to change the audio levels. And there's another way to do that as well. When you've got the clip selected, you can come over to the right panel, which a minute ago was the information panel. It's now changed to the adjustments panel, as I said. And you can see that there's 3 tabs at the top: video, image, and audio. If you go to audio, you can change the volume of the current selected track. You can also fade it in, so you can see as we move that, you get this little diamond that appears here on the timeline, which you can then move manually yourself to however long or short you want the fade in, and you can do the same with the fade out. You can see that that little diamond, is it a diamond? Let's call it a diamond, appears at the left and right based on how long you want the fade to be, which is pretty cool. So if we go back to video, again, under video, you've got all of your keyframing, reframing adjustments that you would have usually had when you add a keyframe here, and you've got all the field of views that appear. Obviously, you've got those field of views there. If that tab changes, by the way, back to that, like it's got the information at the moment, it means that you just haven't got anything selected. So you just need to select whatever it is you want, and then that will change to the adjustments as well. And if you go to image, you've got, again, the same options as you did with the kind of media processing in the media tab, with all the stitching, the stabilization stuff, the color, motion ND for all the motion blur stuff if you're underwater. All of these things are available in the media tab, which is why I think that you wouldn't really need to keep going back and forward between them. Just stay on this suite here. If we send another clip to the timeline next to it, this is just great that we can do this now, because obviously before, right now, if we, let's say, wanted this clip, we wouldn't be able to add this second clip. We would have to export this clip, and then we'd have to reframe this clip and export this clip. It's yeah, this is great. Bravo. But if we go up to the top right, you can see you've got a couple options here. And again, this is pretty similar to other video editors where you've got the magnet and the snapping and the previewing. So if I remove the clip we've just added, and at the moment you can see we've got the magnet is yellow, which means it's turned on. If I turn that off by just clicking on it and I now drag down this clip and just let it go here, you can see it doesn't stick onto the clip to the left, it leaves a big gap. Whereas if I delete that and I turn the magnet on and I drag this down and I let go here, no matter where I let go, it sticks to the clip to the left. So you might want it on. Most of the time you probably will want it on, but there might be a time that you actually might want a gap in between, in which case just turn the magnet off. And snapping works pretty much the same. If we turn the magnet off and turn snapping on, you can see when we drag down a clip and we get closer to the clip, it starts to snap automatically and that yellow line appears. I'm not actually moving it. Once it gets to a certain point, it just snaps on like that. If we turn snapping off and I move it closer, you can see now this is where it usually would have started moving, but now it's not, and there's no yellow line appearing, so it doesn't snap straight into place like it did when snapping was on. So again, you probably want it on most of the time, but it's there if you want to turn it off. And next to that, you've got your preview axis. So at the moment it's off. If I turn it on, every time I move the mouse over the playhead, you see this yellow line appears, and in the preview window, you've got, it previewing exactly where the mouse is on the timeline, which is going to be helpful, and sometimes it annoys me. CapCut does this as well. Sometimes it annoys me. Sometimes it's handy to have on. Again, that's why the option is there to turn it on and off. It doesn't actually let you preview it when you hover over the kind of bubbles at the top. It's only on the timeline, but if you turn that off, you can see now when we move the mouse that yellow line disappears and it doesn't scrub through like it just previously did. So again, it's optional whether you want that on or off. So let's turn magnet snapping and preview on, and then next to that you've got the option to zoom in, but this is not zooming in to the clip on the preview, it's zooming in just to the timeline. Right, so we've got two clips on the timeline at the moment. Now let's add some music. So let's go to the media tab where we had this and import our own music. So you can either press the plus button on any of these media elements, which will send it down to the timeline. And just remember that wherever the playhead is on the timeline, that is where that bit of media will be added to. So for example, if I press plus now, you can see that the audio just sits there where the playhead is. So if you want it at the beginning, obviously make sure the playhead is at the beginning and then press plus and it will go down. Or alternatively, you can drag it down and place it wherever you want. Now, again, this is great, absolutely great that we can add music to it. But the annoying thing about this is that is it. You can't add any more layers. So let's say you wanted to add a sound effect on top of the music, you know, underneath the clip, whatever it is, like a sound effect. You can't, because at the moment we've got audio taking up the kind of music audio layer. So if we did try to add like another bit of music, if we go into here and we try send this down, we can't, because you get this message, clips overlap. Yeah, so you just can't, like, it's not like, look, I'm trying to do it underneath, you can't add another layer. So again, it's so good that we can do this, but so annoying that we're stuck with 3 layers. Like, we should be able to add another layer, because there are going to be times where you want to double up the music or audio, whatever it is, or just even simple thing like add a sound effect, which at the moment you wouldn't be able to do because you've got an audio track. So it's like deciding, do you want music or do you want a sound effect? Something so simple that hopefully can be fixed in a future update. But yeah, that's how you're sending music down. And you can see to the side on the video layer and the audio layer, you've got this speaker. You don't obviously have it on text because you can't mute text, but yeah, just pressing it will mute the audio completely. And again, you've got the same adjustment options with the audio track as you did with the audio on the video track, where you can adjust the volume of it like that by hovering the mouse over the line, or making sure it's selected and going up to the adjustments panel and adjusting the volume. And you can also do a fade in and fade out. One thing you might be noticing is that the computer, well, my Mac is the Insta360 Studio. If you can hear the fan, by the way, if you can hear a fan, that is the fan. Like, there's no fan on me, like it's not hot at the moment here, but it is a fan, the fan for my Mac, because every time within like 30 seconds of opening the Insta360 Studio, the fan goes mad, and it sometimes gets a little bit laggy as well. But so yeah, that's just, I've just accepted it. That's how it's always been, even in the old studio. Let's go over to text. So if we send down this preset, for example, again, make sure the playhead is where you want the text to be, because wherever the playhead is where the text is going to land. So let's say we want it there. It sends it down. And again, you're just going to go onto the text, and you can, edit it how you want. You can change the size by dragging that out like that. And you can see at the side here on the adjustments panel, you can change the text. So if we delete that section and we just put something better than that, James, there we go. And you can do that, and you could change the size by using the slider here. You can even change the position and rotation by using these kind of things over here, if you didn't want to do it on the preview window. If you wanted to make the text stay on the screen longer, then just simply drag it to however over whatever you want it to be, and then it will disappear after. But you'll see what I mean. This text has an animation to come in. So if we play it, oh no, this text doesn't have an does it? No, this text doesn't have a animation to come in. The one underneath does. Let's send that down. So let me play this now. See that? But look, it just disappears. So there's no like animation for it to exit, which is a little bit annoying. It just disappears. It would be good if you could have like a animation for it to animate out, but you can't. And like I said, if you wanted to change the color, because you don't want yellow, well, you can't change the color. There's literally no options. You've only got the size, position, and rotation. So again, it's so good, but it's so annoying, because it's like, I want this to be blue, but it can't be blue, it's just yellow. So that's how you're going to add the preset text and do the adjustments to it. But if you did want to add your own text where you might want to change the color in, go to basic and then send default text down, and you can see that this layer appears. And then you can literally change the text to whatever it is you want. And this time you're able to change the color, which is what I think you should be able to do with the presets. So if we did want blue, there we go. We could change it to blue, and bingo. And then pretty much everything after that is the same. You can change the opacity. But with this, you can't actually do any animation with the text, this default text. It just appears and then disappears. You can't even like fade it in. Because I have tried adding some of the transitions to the beginning and end of the text layer, and it doesn't accept it. So again, it's just very basic. Talking of transitions, if I move that layer over there, we can go to transitions now, and let's say we go to, I don't know, let's have a glitch. So let's choose flash cut. This is the one that we want. So all you're going to do is drag it in between the clips that you want the transition to be in between, and then you can drag out the transition to a maximum of 2 seconds in length, or you can bring it down to a minimum, should I say, of 0.2 seconds, depending on how long you want it to last for. Now, when you play this back, the transitions aren't like, don't play that smoothly. You'll see what I mean. Let's play it. Yeah, like that's just, it's not, you can't even see it, it's not a glitch. But when you do export it, it does export smoothly. It's the previewing just doesn't preview it that well. But talking of previewing, not previewing it that well, you can actually change the performance by kind of using proxy editing. So at the moment, you can see that the playhead is not really on anything. I haven't got anything selected on the timeline. And on the right panel, you've got the adjustments panel has changed to the info panel. And then you can see you've got this modify button. If you press on that, and at the bottom, you've got performance. At the moment, I've got no proxy on. But if you did have issues with things playing back not smoothly, then you can change it to 480 or 720 as well. But don't worry if the preview window then the quality looks bad. It won't affect the export, so just change it there. And whilst we're on this modify tab, this is where you can change the project name. So obviously at the moment it's Untitled 2. You can't actually change the path here, which again is just a bit weird. You can change the path by coming out of this and going up to Insta360 Studio tab at the top, and then go to preferences, and then you can see the third one down, file path settings. This is where you can change the path. So project file save path, you can change the path there. I'm not really sure why you can't do it here and you have to go all the way up there, but again, that's how you do it. You can change the ratio here as well, like you could do on the preview window. You can't actually change the frame rate here or when you go to export. I don't know if it's a bug, but I haven't been able to change the frame rate. It's like stuck on 30, whereas in the previous studio you were able to change the frame rate. So yeah, but that's what you can do on the modify tab. So really, if you have any problems with the performance of the clips, you're going to want to change the performance from no proxy to 480 or 720. Right, so yeah, as I was saying, transitions. So yeah, they only work in between clips. As I said, if you wanted to, let's say, if we go to a basic black fade and we wanted that to work with the text, it just won't work with the text. If you try add it to the beginning of the text, look, it just doesn't even accept it, or to the end it doesn't, which again, like usually you can add a transition to the text layer because you just don't want it just appearing. You want it to, I don't know, fade in or fade out. So you see what I mean by it being great but slightly annoying, because they're just simple things that I feel like could just be like quickly like da 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 da, and then bam bam bam. And then in terms of the whole keyframing stuff, because we haven't really touched too much on that, it all is pretty much the same, and I have got a full tutorial on the previous studio with that, with the whole going really diving in depth, no, deep diving in depth with the keyframing, which I will link down below. But let's say, you know what, let's get another clip. I've got a clip of me in the car somewhere. Where is the clip? Here it is. There we go. So if we now send that down to the timeline and we move it over a little bit, there we go, and we start doing some rough keyframings. At the moment, we don't really want to see that. So I'm just going to get, so we've got the clip on the timeline. I'm just going to get my mouse. Oh, don't know what's happening there. Let's bring it back to the beginning. There we go. Right. So I'm going to get my mouse and literally just drag it around. There I am in the car. And let's say I wanted it like that. I'm going to go to add keyframe, and you can see it adds this yellow keyframe there, and then we're going to move it along a little bit, and let's say I wanted the camera to kind of turn around to face the front a little bit. I'm going to turn it around as I just did, and then I'm going to go add keyframe. So now when I play it from keyframe to keyframe, you can see the cat. I probably should turn the audio of that off. It's just wind. Pretty much the most of the time that's the sound you hear in London, just wind. Actually, it was pretty sunny today. Got to give it that. But yeah, so from keyframe to keyframe, you can see that it literally just changed the camera movement. And let's say we got to here, and then from about here, I wanted it to spin round to the back like that. I would do exactly that, and then add keyframe. Any adjustments you make to the clips where you want the angle of the camera to change, you're gonna do the changes and then add a keyframe. And then when you press on the keyframe, you can go to the video tab, and again, you've got all the options to change the field of view, and also add a keyframe transition, which can help as well by making the keyframe to keyframes a little bit smoother. If you see that these are grayed out like a minute ago, it means, like here you can see they're grayed out, so you don't have the option to add it to it. It's because you need to put the playhead in between the two keyframes that you want the transition to be. So you can see now they've gone to yellow. So if I was to just add that one, you can see now in between this little yellow thing has been added, which means that the keyframe transition has now been added. So that is that. Now, another thing that is slightly annoying is there is no color grading, color changing options. You do have well, if we go to the image tab, you've got image processing, you've got color plus, you've got the clarity stuff. I mean, I don't really like using these ones. I think it just makes it look a little bit weird. So it's not really color correcting or color grading. So if you did have like log footage, you can't even add a LUT. I've tried to add a LUT into the studio. It doesn't accept the format of a LUT. So yeah, you're stuck there, so you can't add a LUT. So again, just a small kind of update to that to be able to accept those type of files, and maybe even just a basic like brightness, shadows, like all of that stuff, just the basics. I'm not expecting like color wheels and all of that stuff, but if you did have footage that needed some works, you would still have to export this and re-import it into another video editor to do the color stuff, which again, it does speed things up a bit because you've cut out some of the bits that you would have had to do before, but it's just annoying that you still obviously have to do that. Another thing that is slightly annoying, not really for me because I've actually never personally exported, well, I have as test stuff, not as anything serious. If you've put this video together on the timeline now that I've got, which essentially was shot with the X3, so it's a 360 video, and you wanted to export this project that we've got here as a 360 video, you can't. You can only export it as a normal standard video, because when you go to export, you don't get export like reframed video option or 360 video option like you previously did. So if I go back to the media tab and I try to export this clip, you can see now we've got export reframed video or export 360 video. So you can export the video as a 360 video, but that's only individual clips. You can't export the whole project as a 360 video, which is slightly annoying for some. I know will be slightly annoying for some. So when you do go to export, a good feature that I have now is you don't have to manually type in like 38402160. That got slightly annoying. They've got the presets obviously already there, but again, the frame rate, you can't change the frame rate here, as you can see. I don't know what's going on with that. Maybe later on you will be able to, but all the basic stuff with export. And again, I have got a video with the Insta360 export settings, which pretty much is the same as all of the stuff you can see in front here, again, which I'll link down below, going through the bitrate and stuff like the codec and all of that kind of stuff there. But yeah, just one thing I thought I would note, that if you wanted to export as a 360 video, yeah, you can't. So yeah, so you know what, I think that pretty much covers most of the bits and pieces that are worth talking about and mentioning, that are really, really good, but also slightly annoying. So it is a massive, massive step up and is going to save so much time, because we've all been there with this studio and it's like a love-hate relationship of yes but no, yes but no. But now it's more yes, but it's still got a little bit of work, like just simple things like letting you add another layer, you know, some basic color stuff for the people that want to export in 360, the whole project, like just the changing the color of the text, like the transitions of the text, just those small things, being able to add a LUT into the studio to kind of drag on top of, like if you had log footage, or even if it wasn't log footage and you wanted to add a LUT to the stuff to make it pop or whatever, which you obviously can't do at the moment. So yeah, so Insta360 Studio, what are you saying about it? Let me know down below, and any questions you have. But remember, don't just go to update in your previous studio, go to the website and go to directly, you know what, I'll tell you what, I'm going to link it down below, the website, the Insta360 website, where with the direct link on, so you can download that. Thank me later, have fun, see you soon.